Come on, Marble. You can't just stay here by the drinks table all night. Marble did her best to hide her whole body as its whole frilly dress behind her mane. Needless to say, this didn't work. Pinkie Pie regarded her with the closest thing she could get to sadness. Aren't you enjoying the gala at all? Mm-hmm. She nodded empathetically. The colors and the bright lights and the ponies were thrilling. She just wished she was watching everything from behind tinted glass so no pony could see her and recognize how much she didn't belong among them. Pinkie Pie! The gigantic twisting snake goat creature curled into existence beside them from literally nothing. 1 second she was trying to stare into her sister's eyes, and the next the monster in a top hat and tails was between them. Marble squeaked and just only recited, diving under the table. It's your turn, my dear. Fluttershy sent me to fetch you. My turn? Pinkie seemed on pause, to sing. Don't tell me you forgot. The snake's thing's lower lip quivered. Your duet with Fluttershy. She won't go on without you. Oh my gosh, totally spaced out on that. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Pinkie Pie vibrated in the place like the bottle of soda full of mints. Marble, please try to dance with some pony, at least once while we're here. For me? Marble shrank back so much, hut butt hit the table. Or, if not for me, then for poor Maudie. She froze. The vision of Maudie, sick in bed and unable to use her ticket, firmly planting herself in the mind's eye. Marble may have been timid and folded under pressure more than a cheap tin can, but she loved her sisters more than anything. Mm-hmm, she said, trying to sound convincing. Pinkie Pie, whined the snake monster. Okay, Discord, Pinkie Pie replied, bouncing away. Marble remained where she was. She only slight bruise that Pinkie Pie had assumed that she would not follow to go watch the performance. She toed the expensive tiled flooring for a while, eyed the punch, discarded the idea of drinking any, and spent 5 minutes concentrating furiously on picking all the tiny pieces of shredded spinach off of a cold boiled potato plucked from the salad tray. It was a bald greenery that she studied it, and it looked like it was full of one of Maud's beloved rocks. Instantly she thought of her elder sister and was unable to squash the pang of guilt that came along with it. Maudie would enjoy this party so much more than me. She deserves to be here, not me. I'm so useless. So many ponies would give their hind leg to attend the Grand Galloping Gala, and I can't even do this right. I'm so... Oh! Squeezed involuntarily tight in her hoof, the greasy potato popped free. It sailed wide arc through the air. Marble realized its destination seconds before it landed. She tried to summon a shout, but all that came out was a useless squeak. Oh! Cried the stallion, brushing at his mane. I say, what in the blue blazes was that? Marble blushed crimson as his eyes fixated on her. Did you throw something at me? He asked, apparently dumbstruck at the very notion. She shook her head, simultaneously trying to draw it into her body, tortoise style. She covered her face with the whole foreleg, sinking into the floor with such an abject misery that her legs refused to hold her up anymore. This was a mistake. This whole party was a mistake. She wasn't bubbly Pinkie Pie who understood parties and ponies and how to deal with both at the same time. She wasn't Limestone, who could have challenged any pony to make fun of her with one just vicious glare. She wasn't even stoic Maud, whom from nothing seemed to have bothered her, much less fluster. She was just stupid, useless, pathetic Marble. Oh my! Footsteps hastily trod up to her. Are you ill? She continued to barely hold on to her sobs. Do you need some fresh air? Come now. You're making a scene. Startling, the pair of strong forelegs heaved her upright and maneuvered her away from the freshman table, towards the door to the outside. She's with me, just getting some air. Don't you know? the stallion said to his guards as they passed. Once the doors, she expected him to let go, but he keeps pushing her until they reach the tiny limestone patio with the grande bench onto which she unceremoniously plopped down. There, now, if you're going to vomit, you're safely out of sight. She said, trying to form a thank you and failing miserably. I guess Goldenmane spiked the punch after all. Funny he never usually gets away with it. The staff are always watching like hawks. It does make Dashley difficult to pull off even the simplest jets at the events like this. Quite impressive that he managed it this time. How much did you drink? Marble shook her head. You didn't drink? Well then, why are you acting like some common lock drunk? Her shoulders hunched. She bent forward and finally let her tears flow. Oh, sweet Celestia, now you're crying. I never know how to deal with crying mares. Oh yes, right there. She looked up and see her handkerchief thrust under her nose. Well, he said impatiently, you're supposed to accept it. I raided up at the Ictware after the last disastrous time I had came to this bloodied event, and I know for a fact that if a gentle colt offers a mare his hanky, she is obliged to take it as a favor. Marble sniffled, choking on her words. She looked at her head and made a circling gesture between them and her hoof tip. What? He scowled at her. It's the other way around? Ugh! He practically flung the piece of monogrammed fabric at her and clasped his face with both hooves. I was born into high society, and I still can't remember all these petty, putrid, plusterous rules of etiquette. Life is so much simpler when I just didn't bother with them at all. Marble caught the fluttering hanky before it hit the ground. She looked at it, then at him. Sniffling, she dabbed delicately at her eyes. He saw her and gave her a translucent nod, but it was clear that he wanted it to be someplace else. Marble could understand that. It was the way all ponies accept her sisters around her. Even her parents ran out of patience with her eventually. The stallion sat down with the stone bench. If it wasn't for the social obligation, I wouldn't bother with this blasted event at all. Marble must have looked surprised because he rolled his eyes. Yes, I know, it's the talk of the town, the thing on every pony's lips, and the places where every pony whom every pony should know goes to be seen and see. But I've been attending since I was a colt, and quite frankly, I've found it increasingly irksome every year. I skipped it altogether last year. Thanked an illness, it was marvelous. I gave the staff the night off and accepted the whole wing of the castle to myself. He seemed to realize what he was saying and sat a little straighter. It's just a shoddy production since Auntie Celestia started letting the riffraff in. Auntie Celestia? Marble's eyes widened. Then that meant, if she recalled Pinky's stories correctly, this had to be. He looked up at her and squeaked. What in the blue blazes is wrong with you? She shook her head frantically. He raised his eyes to the heavens. Mares, I ain't ever understand them. It's not always wanting to be treated like royalty. It's acting like you threw a dog in dirt in your face when you do his compliments. Make up your placid minds, will you? Marble just stared at him. Prince Blueblood leaned back in. You're rather easy to talk to. Yes, and you provide a nice distraction to get me out of that party for a while. She coughed daintily into her hoof as you're welcome. Two voices rose above the others inside. Marble recognized Pinky's, but they were bare breathly. One wasn't one she could immediately place. Prince Blueblood wrinkled his nose. Karaoke, I ask you. This event is going to the dogs. Marble liked dogs. Father had never let her have one, though. He said that they had no place on a rock farm, and Mother had complained about the potential hairs for the furniture. Sure, why couldn't she just have a pet rock, like her sisters? She flattened a hanky against her skirt, studiously not looking at Blueblood. Oh, don't bother. I don't want it back. She paused for a moment to raise her gaze at him. but settled for his hooves. I'll just get new ones. Keep that rotten old thing. She allowed her eyebrows to tick ever so slightly downward. He sighed aggressively. No, not because you're a riffraff. I just prefer fresher items of clothing and such like. His gaze lingered half a second too long on her bodice before shifting away. Marble looked down at her gown. It had been her mother's. It was a little old-fashioned, but she thought it would be pretty. She sighed as it was the second pony to comment on it. He hadn't fainted like Pinky's friend, but still Marble sagged a little. What? Blue Blood snorted. Don't cry again. He paused, as if thinking hard, but then sullenly, Please? She frowned at his hooves. It was probably the most aggressive thing she had ever done. It had the effect of Sparrow pecking at a dragon. Is there something on my hooves? He cried in disgust, raising each one to inspect. I just had a hoof cure. Marble's mouth fell open. A stallion having a hoof cure? Her father would have contemplations at this very idea. She thought of Applejack's brother and her big soup-based plates hooves, and all the stallions that she had ever met used their hooves for working, and never would even thought about taking them to primping and polishing. Strangely, she found the idea intriguing. She cleared her throat. Blue Blood put his hooves down in a relieved sigh. Still perfect. He tapped his head back. It's rather nice out here, and the last time I went for a walk outside during the gala, I was expected to keep complimenting the mare I was with. It was ghastly. She thought that because I'd shown her the monicum of interest, we were automatically at item, and then tried to monopolize my whole evening. He frowned. Though I did let her get covered in cake for me, so I think that makes us even. I think Fancy Pants informed me that I was a dreadful bore all evening, so maybe not. He scowled at the moon. It's a very confusing and aggravating. He made all these read books on manners and refused to let me attend to any social events until I could provide to read them. I mean, it's not like it was his wife I insulted, though I don't think that makes it any better. Marble was at a loss for what to say. She often equivocated. You're possibly right. That's very annoying. Blue Blood transferred his gaze back to the doors of the gala. At the same time, I don't think I wish to go back inside just yet. She agreed. Strange as he was, she felt a little more comfortable out here talking to him than in there trying not to be a wildflower amongst many glittering ponies. They sat in silence for a long while. It wasn't nearly as strained as Marble would have expected. Crickets chirped somewhere, and an owl hooted, and ducks quacked on the midnight swam across Royal Pond. The karaoke inside thrummed steadily rhythm as a male voice joined Pinky and her friend. It sounded a lot like a snake monster. Dash it all! Blue Blood looked curiously, making the Marble jump. I didn't ask for your name. I am fairly certain it was one of those blasted books. So what's your... Wait, no. He took a belabored breath. May I inquire your name, my dear? He said to seem to struggle with the last word. Marble stared at him. She paused. Marble? She squeezed out. I'm Marble. It's most pleasant to meet you. He looked at her strangely, as if her speech impairment had something to do that he had never had come across in his life. She wondered if he was going to insult her now. On instinct, she ducked her head to hide her face behind her mane. Instead, he took her hoof and kissed it, producing a blush ever so tense. She was surprised. Her whole head didn't melt. Lovely to meet you, Miss Marble. I'm Prince Blue Blood. Honest Fleur, it's fine. Big Mac decided not to push her hooves away, but it was difficult to flinch as she fiddled with his bow tie for the umpteenth time. Apologies, non-man-aim, but it is lopsided and it does bother me. It would not go to do roll one's eyes and the mare friend when one's mare friend was already a bundle of nerves. Instead, he raised a hoof and placed it over hers. Her delicate white oval vanished underneath his, and he was struck again by how much his relationship should not work. Usually he banished that thought with a swift buck to tree. No trees here, though. The only wooden things were the tables and door frame. He doubted the polish maid of the pony at the entrance would appreciate him smashing the furniture just to work off his agitation. "It'll be fine," he said instead. Fleur was wound tighter than a coiled spring. He could feel her leg quivering. "I hope so. His opinion really means a lot to you, don't it?" She turned away to face away. Big Mac heaved a sigh. "I promise I'll try not to embarrass you." She turned back, jaw dropped. "You will do no such thing. You'll be yourself. And if he doesn't not improve, then, well, he can go boil his head in a pudding pot." For emphasis, she brought her other hoof down to the table, rattling the glasses and cutlery. "Who can?" Fleur's pale coat seemed to have lose what the little color it had. She whirled in her seat, not removing her hoof from under Big Mac's, so turning to face the speaker in what mounted to a spectacular display of her own flexibility. "Fancy?" Fancy Pants gave a roguish smile, as instantly made Big Mac want to buck a tree several times. Really, though, the big ones that could have withstand much force. "My dear, you look ravishing as always," Fancy said, air-kissing Fleur. "As so you do, mon am, as ever you have broken the hearts of so many merely walking through doors without stopping at their tables." "Oh, gag me with a spoon," said a nasally voice that came from slightly beyond Fancy Pants. Fleur seemed to hesitate. Sven Gallop. "So nice of you to join us, mon am." That was the last word that did not come out easily, Big Mac could tell. The lanky stallion had a cravat and glittering waistcoat practically stalked up to the table and glowered at Fleur with an undisguised dislike. "Charmed," he truly deadpanned. "And this must be your new beau?" "Oh, yes. Fancy, Sven Gallop, this is Big Macintosh Apple." "Howdy." Sven Gallop narrowed his eyes. "Don't I know you from somewhere?" "Now, Sven, you are being unconsciously rude," Fancy Pants interjected. "No, really. I'm sure I've seen him before recent." Sven Gallop cut himself off mid-word and gasped. "Apple Ponyville." "Yup." "You are that obnoxious homebreaker of a mayor's brother." He lowered his head like he was having the billy goat about to butthead Big Mac. "Applejack. That's her name. Applejack Apple. Just a good one, though, tree. That would he all he can ask for. Was too much?" "Yup." That was a stuttery, interfering nag ruined my... "Sven!" Fancy Pants' voice cut across the other stallion like a knife. "That is enough," he frowned. "We came here tonight to have a nice dinner with Fleur and her boyfriend, not to make a scene." "But..." Sven Gallop started again, but stopped himself. He made a noise somewhere between a grunt and a sneeze, and dumped his body ceremoniously into a chair Fancy Pants had pulled out for him. Fleur was twitching. Big Mac rubbed her back briefly, a solid presence by her side. She turned to face him and saw the unhappiness in her eyes. Apparently she wanted to see Sven Gallop as much as he did. The memory of Applejack's trade about the Colorantora's former manager was still fresh in his mind. No pony hoof ticked off his sister could be good. Yet Big Mac was a stallion of his word. He had promised Fleur that he would have dinner so her best friend could check on him over, and he would dag well do just that. Annoying promenade, tag along, or not. "Sven, you're being very rude." Sven Gallop folded his forelegs against Fancy Pants' reproof. "I have every right to be. This is neither the time nor the place." He sniffled. Fancy Pants slid into his chair next to him. "So sorry, my dear. He hasn't been quite himself since the trip to Ponyville. His sister made the best client kick me to the curb," Sven Gallop snipped. "She did?" Fleur asked Big Mac. "More like she helped a pony remember who she was under all that makeup main extensions for some pony. I won't make mention one mistake. Too many taking her loyalty for granted, Big Mac replied. Sven sniffled so loudly that it was wonder a tablecloth didn't shoot up his nose. Fleur seemed to consider Big Mac's words. A slow smile spread across his face. It is never a good thing to take any pony for granted. Nope. I've always liked the Countess. Perhaps I will invite her over sometime. Her smile turned wolfish. We should do each other's manes, paint our hooves, talk about boys. Sven fizzled on his seat like a shaken up bottle of cider. She goes by Rara now, from what I can recall, Big Max replied. Rara? Fleur said at the word several times, as if turning it over with her tongue. She clasped her hooves together. I like it. It's fun to say. Big Mac smiled. Fleur's delight was like standing next to a warm fire. It still amazed him that it was refined, fun-loving high society mare that could possibly show any interest in a careworn country pony like him. Yet it was him he had crossed the Grand Galloping Gala to ask to dance, not like any other quality refined stallions there. Excuse-moi, may I have this dance? Say what? Me excuse. I did think I was clear. Ah, the music. Yes, it is for dancing. Would you like to accompany me on your dance floor? You're talking to me? Why, of course. You're all alone in this corner. I would be speaking to who else? The ferocious tree? What? Sis nest pas ben. Maybe my equestrian is not as good as it think. Nope. Sorry, it's my fault. You're really talking to me? Perhaps I am misunderstanding something here, yes. I'm just surprised, that's all. Pourquoi? I mean, why? Well, 'cause you're a lady and I'm a mighty fine one at that. You probably come into the shining every year to get a pedigree a mile long. I'm a +1. A +1? My sister's guest. She got invited, and I'm her tag-along. Tag-along is a funny word, but what does it matter how you gained the entrance to the gala? You are here now, oui? Does you being a +1 mean that you are unallowed? No, that is not the word. I apologize. Disallow? Prohibited? Oh, oui? Does that mean you have prohibited from dancing? Nope. I guess, but you ain't better off asking one of those other fine stallions instead of me, begging your pardon, ma'am. But where I come from, ain't make this kind of dancing we go in for. When it comes to the ballroom, I ain't much of a dancer. Then this is marvelous. I am not a good dancer either. I have tried to learn many times, but Jesus, a marvelous dancer, I remain terrible. I reckon you couldn't be bad as me. Shall we see? Sure, I guess. Magnificent. Then may we have this dance, Monsieur Tagalon? Sure, what's your French for miss? Madame Mosley. Oh, okay, then sure, Mademoiselle, Furledis. And that is a brightly pretty name, Mademoiselle. Why, thank you. He could still hear the orchestra as if he tried. He could especially hear the square dance they started to play after a brief conversation. At the punch bowl and the sound of Fleur's laughter as he tried to teach her how to do as she was tangling up in her own long, elegant legs. This is amazing. I've never had this much fun at the gala in such a long time. Last year I was only covered in green slime, and the year before that a lot of animals got in from outside and a bird pooped on my head. Such a funny word, pooped. But this square dancing is so much fun than being pooped on or slimed on. And did you see Princess Celestia? She was dancing too. And here she was months later, meeting whom she had described as the only pony whose opinion matters, at least to her. Fancy Pants smiled generally across the table. I don't know about you ponies, but I could use a drink right now. He picked up his menu. How's the wine list? Big Mac struggled with a fitting response. Unremarkable, Fleur interception the question, though I do think they serve excellent vintage of. She caught his eye and gave one more brilliant smiles. Apple cider. You don't say. Fancy Pants was looking at the menu and seemed to have missed their silent exchange. Well, if you recommend it, my dear. Shall I have to try some, waiter? Sven Gallop sank lower into his seat and waiter trotted over. Of course, because of I really want this evening is something made from apples. You'd prefer something else, love? Gin and tonic. Free apple ciders and G&T is good, sir, Fancy Pants said without missing a beat. Charge it to my tab, please. Yes, sir, Fancy Pants. The waiter nodded and backed away from a few steps. Big G&T, Sven Gallop added, and don't skimp on the G. Yes, sir. You cannot have a good time without alcohol singing in your veins, Sven. Fleur leaned forward, balancing her chin into an upturned hoof. So sad. You can't even have a good time unless you're rolling around in mud with the pigs, Fleur, he shot back. Her chin slid off of her roof abruptly. Big Mac stood up. Nope, now that's enough. I ain't going to let you about insult her or me or my family one more. Just because you are some kind of snint over something that ain't got no place in this table here. Sven Gallop did not say anything or move for a moment. Finally he uncrossed his forelegs and placed both front hooves flat on the table. Oink, oink. That was for it, as if a tree hadn't spontaneously appeared for him to buck right into a second. He would get going to get arrested for. Vous est my pony horrible, Fleur shrilled. Pourquoi ne pourrais nos pas être silver pour yon seule story? On the other diners looked at the shrink French, ears flicking forward in interest. It wasn't even a spat broke out in such a distinguished establishment. Fleur glared at Sven Gallop to his mane would have spontaneously combusted. One single evening, that was all. You had to hold your vicious tongue out for the evening, but you could not even do that. It has to be about you, Sven Gallop, does it not? But this is not about you. This is about me and the stallion I love. She grabbed Big Mac's hoof and jumped off her chair. And quite frankly, we're too good for this. She clearly struggled to find the right word in frustration or rupture, like a string of what would clearly interjectives that Big Mac could not understand. Swears-moi, Macintosh, we are leaving before I do something I may or may not regret, but most certainly will get into trouble for. Now steady on there. Fancy Pants got to his hooves. Fleur, be reasonable. At the audible snicker beside him, she swirled on his partner. Sven, your behavior tonight is atrocious. Quite frankly, I am ashamed of you. For the first time, Sven Gallop actually flinched. He looked up at Fancy Pants with something akin to dismay. Fancy Eye, Fleur pointed perfectly, formed on the nose in the air. Your efforts are appreciated, Fancy, but we are still leaving. She tugged on Big Mac, and then again he did not move. She looked over his shoulder at him in surprise. Macintosh? He shook his head. If you leave now, darling, it'll cause a mess of trouble. She frowned. He's being so awful. I know that. You said it yourself. I know that too, but I ain't about to leave over it. You said yourself that this evening ain't about him. It's about you and me. He can try all he wants to spoil it, but what will he get? One evening of making every pony around him uncomfortable and embarrassing the pony he loves. You ain't me? We'll be fine. He ain't got no power in neither of us unless we'll let him. I'll admit I lost my temper just now, but that ain't easy thing to make me do. But if you leave, that will storing us up for trouble in the future. He leaned in and planted a bold kiss on her mouth. Please stay for me. Her eyes searched for his face. She then nodded, only a little shakily. They both returned to their seats. Fancy Pants regarded Big Macintosh across the table. Very slowly he gave the bigger stallion a nod. There was a lot of nod. Big Mac wasn't the fastest of fingers, but if he could tell Jesse had passed some sort of test. The waiter reappeared with a tray of drinks. "Is everything all right over here?" "Marvelous," Fancy Pants replied. "Well, maybe not marvelous, but at least part away here." His horn glowed, distributing the glasses of the free ponies. "A toast, I think." "Oui," Fleur agreed to. "To love?" "That sounds like an excellent thing to toast. Don't you think, Sven?" He raised his glass. Slowly, Sven Gallop did likewise. "To love," he deadpanned. "To love," Fleur smiled, with her hoof finding Big Mac's under the table. Big Mac grinned. "To love." And then he toasted so forcefully, his glass shattered in his hoof. What's up, my pretties? It's the Lion Queen here. I want to appreciate you all for tuning into this video. And I do appreciate you guys supporting my video by giving this video likes and stuff. If you really enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe if you're new, ring the bell for notifications to when I upload so that way you guys will get updated for whenever I upload. If you want to follow me on Twitter or DeviantArt, feel free to leave a follow on those if you are interested in following me on those socials. If you want to support my backup channel, known as Miss Dark Shigo, feel free to subscribe to it, as a link to that will also be in the About page section. And with that being said, and that being the case, thank you so much for watching, my pretties, and as always, please stay pretty.